Van Johnson is another one of the vintage Hollywood stars that wasn't who he seemed. Nothing is real in Hollywood. Not the movies and not the stars. The actor had a reputation as the boy next door that made many women weak in the knees for him. But as reports would have it, Johnson was more than the boy next door. He was the boy interested in other boys, if you catch our drift. Van's life wasn't as cheery as his on-screen life, or as ginger as his hair. The man had the harshest upbringing, and he still managed to display a sunny character on screen. A character women couldn't have enough of. Many women in their 40s and 50s blushed when they saw Van Johnson on screen. His characters portrayed a certain boy-next-door charm that few female audiences could resist. But it seemed like his charm spilled over to real life. If you ask June Allison, Van Johnson was the best man alive. She believed he was the man every girl would like to marry. The incredible actress also described him as a humble person who was a delight to work with. But this wasn't the real Van. Eve Abbott, the only woman he married, claimed that the actor usually sulked and was quick to moodiness. Eve claimed Johnson was like this because of how challenging his life was initially. Her son, Ned Wynn, claimed in his book that a slight discomfort was enough to change his stepfather's moods. According to Ned, it didn't matter who the discomfort came from or what it was. The discomfort could be about the house, kids, or newspaper delivery. It could also be how the servants acted, or something as trivial as the color of the candles on the dining table. Van lost his marbles if there was no ice in the ice bucket too. Unbelievable. Anytime the actor experienced discomfort, he dropped whatever he was doing and left the place he was at the time to seclude himself. Van Johnson had mastered aloofness and had gone to the point where he and his daughter grew entirely apart. His relationship with her was even worse than the ones he had with his dad, and that relationship was beyond complicated. There was no love lost between him and his daughter, and she wrote of the most scathing books ever written. Van Johnson didn't change in his lifetime. The truth was, he didn't know that he had issues and had fully bought that lie that the studio sold him, that he was pleasant, charming, and cheery. The actor felt more at home in MGM than with his own family. He once called the actors, crew, and execs at MGM a one big happy family, and that he had a tiny kingdom of their own. Why would the actor call MGM his big family? With them, there was little unpleasantness. His role was defined. The actor revealed that the studio provided everything for its roster of stars. Singing lessons and weights for training. The studio provided everything. And the actor just needed to inhale, exhale, and be charming. It got to the point that the actor felt the real world was not real, and that the studio's small world was all he needed. Weird. But he wouldn't be the only actor to feel that way. However, real world or not, unpleasantness or not, charming or not, there was one thing that was sure about Johnson: his dedication to work. The man didn't go on set until he was well prepared and had grown a reputation to be a light comedian. But this didn't translate to big success, like that of other stars of the era, as his depth as an actor wasn't explored. And why should the studio? Women loved the actor just the way he was. Why fix what was bringing in money because of depth? Not that Johnson was complaining anyway. The actor was fine with the role he got. Johnson got to be the stiff yet funny guy that the audience loved to watch. He had an agreeable presence on the screen, but he could also be more than an agreeable guy. He could be cynical if the role demanded it, but his cynicism was usually lighthearted. He could also dance a jig and pop a tune if the role required. Every actor has an actress that they have intense screen chemistry with. The actor's skills blended perfectly with June Allison, and they appeared in a couple of movies together. They were kindred spirits. Perhaps it's the chemistry that makes June hold Allison in such high regard. But she wasn't the only one to hold this impression of the actor, so why was he a different person to his family? His inability to be a good father and husband to his family is connected to something else. It's connected to something deeper and linked to his sexuality. There are rumors. No, not rumors, but an allegation that said the actor was Want to find out? Stick with us. Born as Charles Vandell Johnson on August 25, 1916, in Newport, Rhode Island, Johnson had a troubled upbringing. The actor was the only child of his parents. His father was a Swedish-born man who was a plumber turned real estate salesman, and his mom had a Pennsylvania Dutch ancestry. Johnson's parents had what they loved, but it was their son. His father was aloof from him, or cold-hearted towards him. On the other hand, his mother loved alcohol and abandoned him and his father when he was 3. His mother's abandonment was made worse by the fact that his father didn't much care to bond with him. This was too much for the actor. No wonder he didn't like the real world. All it ever showed him was pain, suffering, loneliness, and sadness. The actor's escape was acting, and he began when he was in high school and a member of social clubs. It became his world. This new world was free of the unpleasantness that dogged his real world. After the actor graduated high school, nothing tied him to Newport. Finally, he could leave his cold-hearted father behind. Johnson struck off to New York with one thought: escaping real life. He quickly joined the off-Broadway revue Entre Nous. Johnson left New York for New England, where he toured as part of a theater troupe substitute dancer. Then acting opportunities came when he was featured in the Broadway revue New Faces in 1936. After the performance, the actor worked in the chorus of the theater group and found extra work in summer resorts near New York City. Fortune smiled on him when he came to George Abbott's notice. The veteran playwright and director cast him in Roger and Hart's Too Many Girls and gave him a small part. Also, the director had him be an understudy for the 3 male leads. It was hard work, but it was work. When the play got abandoned, the actor earned an uncredited role. It was there he met Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. Little did he know that he had met someone who would help him secure his acting future. After his involvement in the film, George had him as a chorus boy and made him understudy Gene Kelly in Pal Joe. Work dried up, and Johnson was about to pack it up and return to New York, but Lucille Ball had other ideas. She took the young actor to Chasen's restaurant. Then, Lucille saw an opportunity, and in the spur of the moment, she took Johnson to Bill Grady, who was sitting at a table next to them. Bill was an MGM casting director, and meeting the man helped open the floodgates of on-screen tests by Hollywood studios. The tests were unsuccessful. Eventually, Warner Brothers gave him a $300 contract per week for 6 months. However, something was off. The actor wasn't the best fit for Warner, and you'd soon see why. Warner put him in The Murder in the Big House, a gritty film that wasn't the best for a ginger-haired man. So he had to dye his hair back for the role. But it soon became apparent that the actor's dashing looks and easygoing sunny nature weren't what a studio like Warner, that specialized in gritty films, needed. So, after his 6 months with them, they didn't bother to renew the ginger-haired actor's deal. He was back in the wilderness. What next for the dashing actor? MGM saw something in the actor, and they snapped him up. But to them, he wasn't finished goods. The studio enrolled him in some acting classes. Then they added speech and dictation to his training and started him off easy. He got an uncredited part in the film Somewhere I'll Find You, where he played a soldier. Then when the studio put him in the war against Mrs. Hadley, he was sensational. The audience noticed, and MGM knew it had potential in its hand. So, the studio tested him with Dr. Kildare, its long-running series. The series had begun to pivot, this time due to Lou Ayres' ailing career. Ayres was the man who played Dr. Kildare, and the series switched to Dr. Gillespie mentoring new doctors. Johnson became Dr. Randall Adams and Dr. Gillespie's new assistant. He also returned to the role in Dr. Gillespie's criminal case. Johnson moved on from a doctor to a soldier and was cast as Mickey Rooney's soldier brother in The Human Comedy. The two were notoriously perfect, and the film was a hit. But it wasn't as big a hit as the film A Guy Named Joe, where he started alongside Spencer Tracy and Irene Dunne. The film almost claimed his life. The actor played a young pilot who got the ghost of a deceased pilot as a guardian spirit, and he almost became a ghost himself in the middle of the film's production. While speeding to the studio alongside his best friend and his wife, Keenan Wynn Evie Abbott, they had a ghastly car accident. The accident caused part of the actor's skull to hit his brain. His face and forehead were ruined. Plastic surgery of that era could also do so much. The actor's left side of the actor's head got replaced with a metal plate, but his face remained scarred with surgery, unable to remove the scars. MGM came to a decision. They would let the actor go. Looks were gone, and his recovery would stall production. However, his co-stars Spencer and Irene also downed tools. They insisted it was Johnson or no one else. They had their way, and MGM waited for the actor to return. The studio got creative and it used makeup heavily to hide his scars. It paid off for the studio as the film made over $1 million at the box office. Johnson's pilot character got the girl, his ghostly guardian ascended to heaven, and the actor's career soared as he became a proper star. It was a win for everyone involved. A big win. And the new star was in luck. His accident meant he didn't have to join the Second World War. So when Clark Gable, Robert Taylor, James Stewart, Robert Montgomery, and other big names were shipped out to war, Johnson had a clear run at becoming MGM's biggest star, even if it was temporary. He rose from MGM's B unit to becoming their big star. He played soldiers while he wasn't at war, and also had entanglements of his own. He had a thing with June Allison, Esther Williams, and other big stars. But there were rumors that the new star was also swinging the other way too. There was a certain urinal incident. According to writer-author Lawrence, there was a charming and sunny male MGM star who was performing in the make urinals. We can tell you he wasn't performing Hamlet. The writer claimed that to keep such scandalous news from going outside, the studio's unmarried actor had to get hitched. But MGM's proposal got a bit sinister. The actor had eyes for only one woman, Evie Abbott. But there was a problem. Evie was already married, and she was married to Keenan Wynn, Johnson's best friend. You bet things keep getting more dramatic. But we are sure you wouldn't expect Evie to divorce Wynn and marry Johnson. She divorced Wynn and married Johnson 4 days later in Mexico in 1947. The couple would have a daughter together, and Wynn's 2 boys would move in with them. The star's many female stars mourned the loss of their favorite Hollywood hunk. People joked that his fans wore their bobby socks at half-mast to mourn losing him to marriage. That one move alienated his fans. Curiously, after his marriage to Evie, his star power began to dwindle in the 50s. But it wasn't a happy marriage. Allegedly, those who knew that Johnson swung at both men and women would have a problem being with a woman alone. And it looked like they were right. In 1960, Evie couldn't cope anymore. According to the family members, Johnson was a cloudy man inside the house, and Evie wanted out, claiming that her husband was cruel towards her. But Evie wasn't done with the actor. No wonder he called her the Dragon Lady. After the divorce, Evie returned to the court and sued Johnson for fraud and breach of contract. Allegedly, Johnson breached a property settlement agreement and refused to pay his child support. Despite the two parting under the worst circumstances, they reconnected 2 years after the divorce suit, but soon separated again. But there was more to the separation than meets the eye. Evie said she separated from Johnson the second time because he cheated on her. Wait for it. He cheated on her with another man. When the two reconnected, Evie followed him to London as he starred on stage in The Music Man. However, the actor and the lead dancer of the play allegedly got together, and Evie caught them. This led to a vicious divorce proceeding between the two of them. No one truly knows if the actor liked both men and women. The two persons say it were his former wife Evie and writer-author Lawrence. In Hollywood, secrets like this are not well kept, and somebody would have leaked something to the gossip media. Even men that liked other men and had families could not escape the snoopy noses of media houses. After the divorce, the actor continued to work as a freelancer until he got sick. In the 70s, the actor fought cancer twice and returned to work as he recovered. He had rejuvenated his summer stock career and returned to Broadway in 1985. Johnson continued to work until the 90s, when he quietly retired until small stage performances in 2003. The actor moved to Tappan Zee Manor and died there on December 12, 2008, aged 92 years. The actor rose from a cruel upbringing, repeated the sins of his father, and died alone. If you're hungry for more intriguing stories and captivating content, you're in luck. Our channel is a treasure trove of entertainment that will keep you coming back for more. So don't miss out on this video. Why was Eartha Kitt's love life unconventional?